Good afternoon, Mrs. Mason.
Good afternoon.
You understand why you're here, correct?
Yes.
Very well. Then, let me begin this by asking what happened in the days prior.
Not much, to be honest. Nothing seemed out of place. The kids never mentioned seeing anything, and Henry never seemed worried until the last few days.
Last few days?
Yes, about a day or two before this happened, something seemed wrong. I know that seems odd, but it was like that feeling that something was different but you can't tell what, or when you feel like being watched. We searched around but didn't find anything, and it was just 2 days before, so we didn't think about leaving.
I see. Thank you for telling us this. To continue, I'd like to ask if you saw any of the events that others have reported, such as claw marks, laughter, or the sound of running.
We did see claw marks, but there were wild animals around our house, and we had seen claw marks on our property for a long time because of them, so we didn't give it much thought. As for the other two, I can't remember hearing laughing, and while I could hear something moving outside, it was never running, but almost like it was flying around the house. I never heard footsteps, at least not when it was outside.
Can you tell me what happened during the attack?
We were woken up when we heard a loud thud. We had no clue what it was at first, but we soon heard footsteps and more thuds and crashes. Henry told me to get the kids and leave. I went to their bedrooms and went out the back door. While leaving, I saw that everything was covered in claw marks, but I didn't have time to wonder about it. I ran to one of the neighbors' houses and asked to be let in. They hurried me inside once I told them what happened and went to call the police. But that's when it started. We heard screams from our home. Henry's screams. They were so loud and blood-curdling that we all stood frozen in fear for a moment. Then we saw the house begin to catch fire and the screams got louder. That finally snapped us out of it as the neighbor finished their call to the police. It took them around 10 minutes to get there, but it still wasn't fast enough.
Mrs. Mason, please calm down. I'm sorry to hear what happened. We all are. We've had multiple other reports about some threat running around recently, and have been trying to catch them. But no matter how we look, there's never any identified evidence or leads to help us. But this is why we brought you here. As far as we know, you're part of the few who managed to survive an encounter with this threat, and so we need your help. Is there anything you remember that could help us here?
Well, there were the dead animals we were finding around the house.
Dead animals?
Yes, they started appearing behind our home. As you saw, we live near a small forest. Recently, we have been finding more and more dead animals in our backyard. From what we could tell, they were hunted for sport or as a scare tactic, as while the bodies were gruesome, they never looked like they had been eaten, only torn apart.
Is this all you can recall?
Yes, sadly.
Thank you for the information. We will do our best to find your husbands.
Wait. The eyes.
Pardon?
I had forgotten about it with everything that happened. A few days before this happened, I saw a pair of red eyes in the nearby forest. They were always too far away to make out, but they were bright and glowing, and staring directly at our home.
Did you not report this?
No, mostly because they would disappear nearly instantly. I would see them out of the corner of my eye, and then they were gone. I told Henry, but he said I was probably seeing things due to my stressful work week.
Thank you, Mrs. Mason. I'll be sure to let the others know about this. Rest assured that we will find this guy and bring him to justice. But before you leave, do you have any place to go with your children? We have multiple relief programs if you require them.
Thank you, but no, we'll be all right. I called my mother and we're going to be staying with her for the time being. Thank you for letting me know though.
Well then, I wish you well, Mrs. Mason.
Thank you.